Echoes from the Forbidden Zone. The stars outside were silent, but inside her cockpit Laraxi felt the storm rising. She was only 17 cycles old, young for a patrol pilot, but today she was flying alone over the edge of the Zerelian starfield. Her long purple fingers moved over the controls as she scanned the dark space ahead. Nothing unusual, just empty stars and cold silence, just like every other day. She yawned and looked at the radar screen. Her sleek silver ship drifted above, a dead sector called the Forbidden Zone, a place every cadet was told to avoid. Nothing ever comes from there, her trainer had once said. Because nothing ever came back. Laraxi didn't believe in ghost stories. But even she felt cold when she passed this place. It was quiet, too quiet. Then her screen blinked. Beep. Her eyes widened. Beep. 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 A strange signal was flashing on the radar. It was far, but moving fast, straight toward the Forbidden Zone. What is that? She whispered. Her hands moved fast over the controls. She zoomed in on the signal. Unknown vessel. Unknown origin. That's when the second shock came. A second alert appeared. This time, in red letters. Signature match. Possible human design. Laraxi froze. Her heart began to race. No, she breathed. That can't be right. Humans were just myths, fairy tales, scary stories told to Zerelian younglings to make them behave. Her people said that long ago, humans tried to conquer the galaxy, but were destroyed. Not a single one had been seen in over 500 years. She stared at the radar. The blip was still moving. It was real. It was close. Computer, confirm ship model, she said quickly. The system whirred for a few seconds. Model, Terran-class scout vessel, Earth origin. Designation, outdated but operational. Laraxi sat back in her chair. Her hands trembled. Real human ship, alive. Her voice shook as she pressed the comm button. Command, this is Patrol Unit 27Z. I have detected an unknown vessel entering the Forbidden Zone. It appears human in design. Silence. Then her commander's voice replied. Negative. Humans do not exist. Signal must be false. Return to base. Laraxi frowned. No, Commander, I'm seeing it clearly. It's not a glitch. It's moving. Return to base, the voice repeated. Sharper this time. Forget what you saw. The signal cut off. Laraxi's fingers hovered over the return switch, but she didn't press it. She looked again at the radar. The human ship had stopped, hovering just inside the Forbidden Zone. She whispered to herself, if they were only a myth, then what am I looking at? Something inside her said to go. She had to see it for herself. She turned off the comms and pushed the throttle forward. Her ship flew closer to the zone. The lights outside faded. The stars grew darker. Thick clouds of blue dust floated across her view. And then she saw it. A giant black and gray ship sat quietly in space. It looked damaged, old and quiet, but still alive. Its engines glowed dim red. Strange marks were painted on its side. The words were faded, but she could just make out the letters. TSV. Valiant TSV? Terran space vessel? She gasped. Suddenly, her ship jolted. Alert. Incoming signal detected. Her heart almost stopped. A voice came through, calm, deep, and strangely gentle. Unknown Zerelian vessel. Identify yourself, we mean no harm. She stared at the screen, frozen. A real human was talking to her. It wasn't a recording, not a dream, not a ghost. This was real. She swallowed hard and leaned toward the mic. This is Patrol Pilot Laraxi of Zerelian Empire, she said quietly. Who are you? There was a pause. Then the voice replied, Commander Jalen Cross, Terran Scout Division, last of Earth's reach. Tears filled her eyes. Earth. It was real. The stories were true. But before she could say another word, her radar screamed. Warning, cloaked ship detected. She turned and saw a second vessel appear from the shadows, sleek, black, and armed. Zerelian military, her own people, and they were pointing weapons at the human ship. "Commander," she shouted into the mic. "It's a trap. Get out of there." The scene ended with Laraxi spinning her ship toward the enemy and whispering, "They lied to us, all of us." The silent metal beast. The black military ship hovered silently in space, its surface absorbing all light like a shadow that didn't belong to this world. Laraxi's blood ran cold. She recognized the class instantly. A Zarelian, Phantom Interceptor, used only by high-level enforcement units, those who didn't report to the public but to the Empire's secret division. Why were they here? And why were they targeting the human ship? Without any questions, she reached for her comm again. "Commander Cross, do not respond to the new vessel. I repeat, do not engage. They will destroy you without warning." The human voice came back, still calm. "Understood, Pilot Laraxi. We are preparing defensive protocol, but this ship, it's not made for war anymore." Laraxi looked back at the Valiant, old, scarred, and tired. She could see faded burn marks along the hull, and multiple external panels looked patched by hand. This was not a warship anymore. It was a relic, barely flying. It wouldn't survive a full blast from the Phantom. She turned on her own ship's shields. Her heart pounded. What was she doing? Going against the Empire? Risking her life to protect a myth? But something inside her screamed louder than the fear. He's not a threat. He's the truth. Before she could think further, the Phantom opened fire. Twin laser beams screamed past her cockpit, slicing toward the human ship like lightning. The Valiant shook, dodging slowly, too slowly. A warning siren echoed across her systems. Laraxi moved fast. She pushed her ship forward, placing herself between the Phantom and the human vessel. The lasers struck her shields. Her body rocked violently, as alarms lit up across the cockpit. Her voice shook, but she pressed the open comm channel. To the Zarelian Phantom. "This is Patrol Unit 27Z. Ceasefire immediately. I repeat, you are targeting a diplomatic vessel under first contact protection." Silence. Then a cold voice replied, "Stand down, Laraxi. This is not your concern. Return to base or be marked as a traitor." She breathed, in sharply, so it was true. They didn't care about truth and her peace. They just wanted the secret buried, but she had already crossed the line. "I'm not going back," she said. "Not while you're trying to kill someone who never attacked us." A few seconds passed. Then came the cold reply. "Then die with him." Suddenly, the Phantom launched a micro-missile, deadly and fast. Laraxi screamed, "Commander, move, now!" Jalen Cross didn't argue. The Valiant turned hard and fled toward the dark spiral edge of the Forbidden Zone, an uncharted nebula filled with plasma storms and sensor-warping dust. It was suicide to go in there blind, but it was also their only chance. Laraxi followed, twisting her damaged ship behind the humans as the missile barely missed her wing. She flew into the storm with him. Behind them, the Phantom hesitated. No ship dared follow deep into the Forbidden Zone. But Laraxi and Jalen had no choice. Inside the thick space clouds, all sensors went dark. No radar, no comms, just the glow of plasma lightning around them. Laraxi's breathing was shallow. Her ship was bruised, bleeding energy, and she had no idea where the human had gone. "Commander?" she called. No answer, just crackling static. She looked out through the cockpit glass. Then, something massive moved through the mist. She gasped. It was the human ship, the Valiant. It floated silently now, its engines dim as it lowered into the hollow of an asteroid cave hidden deep in the nebula. It looked like a sleeping metal beast, covered in old scars. She followed carefully and landed inside the cave next. To it, the silence was heavy. Then her screen blinked again. Docking tunnel connected. Human vessel requests safe boarding channel. She stared. He was inviting her inside. Her fingers hovered over the controls. Then she made her decision. She activated the docking seal. The tunnel connected with a hiss, and the airlock opened slowly. Laraxi stepped inside. The air smelled different, dry, old, but breathable. She walked through dim corridors with flickering lights and ancient markings on the walls. Strange symbols, pictures of earth animals, rusted pipes, dust. And then she saw him, Commander Jalen Cross. Tall, bearded, his face marked by time and hardship. His eyes were calm, sharp, and deeply human. He stood still, hands raised. No weapons. "Welcome aboard," he said softly. Laraxi looked at him for a long second. "You're real," she said. "So are you," he replied. She swallowed. "My people think you're a ghost, a monster, a story." He nodded. "And mine thought your kind wiped us out, but here we are." For a moment, neither spoke. Then she stepped forward, her voice serious. "You need to leave. They won't stop hunting you." Jalen looked at the ceiling. "I can't leave yet, not until I finish what I came for." She frowned. "What did you come for?" He turned toward a dark hallway. "To find what was left behind." Voices from extinction. The ship creaked around her as Laraxi followed Commander Jalen down the dim corridor of the Valiant. Everything inside the human vessel looked old, very old. The metal was scratched and dull, the lights flickered, with a soft hum, and the walls carried marks of battles long forgotten. Some doors were jammed, others patched with wires and tape. But Laraxi wasn't afraid. She was too curious, and too shocked that a myth was walking just a few steps ahead of her, breathing, speaking, and somehow still alive. Jalen stopped at a thick, sealed door. "This is the heart of the ship," he said quietly, "where the last voices of Earth still live." He pressed his palm to a scanner. The door opened with a groan. Inside was a large chamber, filled with holographic pillars, memory crystals, and recording units. The walls were lined with black consoles blinking slowly, as if the ship itself were still half asleep. Laraxi stepped inside and gasped. A soft, blue light filled the room. Dozens of holograms flickered to life. People, human people, laughing, crying, hugging children, speaking in a language she didn't know, but their faces spoke volumes. "I don't understand," she whispered. Jalen stood beside her, his voice calm but heavy. This ship was part of the final exodus, the last mission before Earth was lost. We weren't soldiers. We were recorders, archivists, historians. Our job was to preserve Earth's memory, just in case we didn't survive. He walked to a nearby console and pressed a button. A hologram of a young girl appeared. She had brown skin, curly black hair, and a wide smile. She was holding a flower. The recording played. "Hi, my name is Anya. If anyone finds this, please don't forget Earth. We had oceans and birds and ice cream. My daddy says we might go away soon. I don't want to forget. I love you. Goodbye." Laraxi felt her throat tighten. This was real. Not war stories. Not threats. Just people. Children. Families. Lives. "Your people said humans were destroyers," she said. "But this is not what we were told." Jalen didn't answer right away. He walked slowly to a cracked glass panel. Behind it, an old Earth flag was sealed, red, white, and blue with stars. "We did destroy," he said finally. "Ourselves." Laraxi looked at him. He continued. "The wars were real. The hunger, the anger, the mistakes. We burned our own world. And when the stars opened to us, we carried that same fire outward. But not all of us wanted war. Some wanted to protect what was left." "And that's what this ship is?" she asked softly. Jalen nodded. "A floating memory. But now, it's the last piece." He looked straight at her. "Until you." Suddenly, a red light blinked above them. Intrusion detected. Jalen turned sharply. "They found us." Laraxi spun toward the door. "How?" "They must have tagged your ship with a silent tracker." She cursed under her breath. The screen blinked again. "Incoming vessel, Zarelian Phantom Interceptor, ETA, 3 minutes. Jalen." Ran to a panel and flipped open a control screen. We need to erase the data vault before they breach the ship. If the Empire finds these memories, they'll wipe them out forever. No, Laraxi shouted. There has to be another way. If they take this ship, it's over. He reached for the self-destruct command, but Laraxi grabbed his arm. Wait, I know something. He paused, staring at her. There's a broadcast relay station inside my patrol ship. It's old tech. But if we connect it to your memory vault, we can beam the recordings across every open channel in the Zerelian system. Civilian, military, even hidden ones. Everyone will see. Jalen looked doubtful. Will it work? Laraxi nodded. It has to. They moved fast. Together, they dragged a heavy data core out of the vault, running through shaking corridors as the ship began to rumble from approaching enemy fire. Back in the docking bay, Laraxi jumped into her patrol ship and activated the main console. Jalen connected the memory vault cable into her transmitter port. She tapped furiously on the controls. Come on. Come on. The signal finally turned green. Link established. Begin broadcast across the stars, in hundreds of systems. Strange. Screens began to flicker. Zerelian families watching entertainment. Soldiers inside military bases. Students in galactic schools. They all stopped and stared. Because on their screens, Earth had arrived. Laughing humans, dancing humans, crying children, blue skies, mountains, oceans, voices, stories, music, and one girl named Anya, holding a flower. Inside the interceptor, the Zerelian commander stared at the broadcast. He clenched, his fists. Shut it down, he roared. But it was too late. The signal had already been copied, shared, and spread across the entire empire. The lie had cracked, and the truth was now viral. Back in the asteroid cave, the Valiant trembled as another laser blast struck nearby. Jalen pulled Laraxi from the console. We have to leave. Now! She didn't argue. They jumped into her patrol ship, sealed the hatch, and launched out of the collapsing cave just as the enemy ship unleashed a final torpedo at the Valiant. Behind them, the memory ship exploded in a silent burst of white and blue light. Gone. But its story, Earth's story, was now everywhere. As the stars blurred around them in hyperspeed, Laraxi sat quietly beside the human commander. She had started the day chasing a myth. Now she was escaping as part of it. She turned to him and asked, "What happens now?" Jalen looked forward. His eyes were calm, but filled with fire. Now we make them remember us properly. Escape through the stars. The stars stretched like silver rivers outside the cockpit window as Laraxi's patrol ship tore through hyperspace. Inside, silence hung like a weight between her and Commander Jalen Cross. They had escaped, for now. But the price was high. The Valiant, Earth's last memory ship, was gone. Destroyed. Burned into ash. But not before they had sent its truth across the galaxy now. Everyone knew. The humans were real, and so were their stories. Laraxi leaned back in her seat, her hands trembling slightly as she flew. "How long until they catch us again?" she asked. Jalen studied the star map on the cracked monitor. "Not long," he said. "Your Empire's hunter fleets move fast. They'll come hard, especially after what we broadcast." She sighed. "I can't go back. I disobeyed direct orders. I'm a traitor now." Jalen glanced at her. "You did the right thing. Then why does it feel so heavy?" He didn't answer. Instead, he pointed to a red mark on the edge of the map. "This is our best chance," he said. "A place I knew from old recon days, hidden, unstable, and outside patrol zones. I call it the Fracture Belt." Laraxi frowned. "That's a pirate zone." "Yes," Jalen replied. "And pirates hate governments more than they love rules. If we survive the journey, we might find friends." She didn't like it, but she nodded. They had no other choice. The hyperspace drive groaned as the ship dropped out near the Fracture Belt. It was a terrifying sight. A massive stretch of broken asteroids, shattered moons, old mining wrecks, and electrical storms, all spinning slowly through the void like giant metal bones. Blue lightning flashed across, cracked rocks, burned-out freighters drifted like ghosts. Laraxi whispered, "No sane pilot comes here." Jalen smiled faintly. "Exactly why we're here." As they entered the belt, the ship's sensors began to go dark. Static filled the screen. "Shields up," Jalen warned. "There are old traps in this sector, mines, drones, auto turrets from ancient wars." Suddenly, boom, a small blast shook the ship's right wing. Laraxi gripped the controls tightly. "We're hit." "It's a proximity mine," Jalen said. "Keep us low near the rocks, they won't follow us that deep." They ducked behind a jagged asteroid the size of a city. For hours, they flew low and slow through the deadly maze. The deeper they went, the darker space became. Then they saw lights ahead, flickering yellow beacons, a station, or at least, the remains of one. They landed on a floating platform marked with the word Oblivion Dock 12. As the engines shut down, Laraxi peered through the glass. Figures moved in the shadows, tall, armored with glowing red eyes. Pirates. One stepped forward. She was massive, an 8-foot-tall alien with 4 arms, golden eyes, and armor made from scrap metal and bones. A laser rifle rested on her shoulder. Laraxi and Jalen stepped out slowly, hands raised. "We're not here to fight," Laraxi said. The tall alien woman stepped closer. "I know who you are," she growled. "You're the girl who exposed the humans." Jalen stiffened. The woman grinned. "Nice work." Behind her, others laughed and clapped. She lowered her rifle. "I'm Varka Bloodjaw, pirate queen of this belt. Welcome to the last free place in the galaxy." Inside the dock's command room, they explained everything. How Laraxi discovered the human ship, how the Empire lied, how they broadcasted the truth before the ship was destroyed. Varka listened, sipping black syrup from a jagged cup. When they finished, she leaned back. "Your little show caused chaos," she said. "Half the Zarelian military is in panic. Civilians are asking questions. Rebels are waking up. Even smugglers are whispering about Earth again." Jalen raised an eyebrow. "You've seen the reaction?" Varka nodded. "The Empire didn't shut it fast enough. The truth is spreading like fire. You started something bigger than you know." Laraxi asked, "Will you help us?" The room went quiet. Varka tapped her clawed finger on the metal table. "Maybe. But help comes with price." Jalen tensed. "What price?" Varka smiled darkly. "You tell me what's left of Earth, where it is, what it holds. I want the location of your lost home." Laraxi looked at Jalen. He looked down. "I don't know," he said. "We lost contact a long time ago. Earth is just a myth now, even to us." The pirate queen frowned. "Then find it," she said, "because if the humans are real, then Earth's secrets might still be out there." She stood. "And I want a piece." Later, Laraxi sat alone in a dark room aboard the pirate dock, staring at an old hologram Jalen had saved. It showed Earth's moon half covered in shadow floating above the blue planet. It looked so peaceful, so far away. Jalen entered quietly. "You okay?" he asked. "I don't know," she whispered. "This all feels too big. Too fast." He sat beside her. "You lit the fire," he said. "Now we ride the blaze." She smiled sadly. "What if the blaze burns us both?" He looked into her eyes. "Then, let it burn us fighting." Outside, beyond the metal walls of the pirate station, dozens of Zarelian warships spread across the stars, scanning, listening, closing in. Inside, 2 fugitives sat in silence. But their next move would shake the galaxy, again. She didn't reply. He smiled softly. "You cracked the Empire's voice with 1 sentence. Still, she said nothing." He leaned in, placed the Gaia cube in her lap, and whispered, "And you became the voice of a future no one believed in." She looked at him now, her voice faint but strong. "What if they come harder now?" He shrugged. "Then we speak louder." Somewhere deep in the far edges of the galaxy, rebellion was rising, and at the heart of it was one alien girl once, loyal to lies, now leading the truth. The myth becomes legend. The stars burned quieter now. Liraxi stood at the window of their ship, her face dimly lit by the pale glow of distant suns. She held the Gaia cube in her hands, its light now steady and calm, as if it knew its long journey was almost over. Commander Jalen Cross sat at the navigation console, typing in the final coordinates Gaia had unlocked after Liraxi's broadcast shook the Empire. The cube had revealed something even more shocking. A dormant signal burst hidden within its memory core, one that could only be activated if the truth had been shared galaxy-wide. Now that millions had seen the message, the last part of Gaia had awakened, and it had whispered one name: Earth Primus vault location confirmed. The ship tore through the void, heading into Sector 9 Charon, a system erased from most Xerelian maps and marked as gravitationally collapsed. Dead. Impossible to reach. But that was a lie too. As they emerged from hyperspace, what lay ahead took their breath away. Floating in the darkness, surrounded by shattered moons and silent storms, was a glowing sphere, a hidden planet, shielded behind broken satellites, wrecked battleships, and dust clouds. But very real. Its oceans shimmered, its surface was covered in green, and above it, in silent orbit, floated something older than any ship they'd ever seen. A Terran arc station, scarred but intact. Earth had not died, it had simply gone into hiding. Inside the ship, Jalen stared at the readings. This is Earth Primus, a reconstruction world. Liraxi looked at him. Not the original Earth? He shook his head. No. The original Earth was likely destroyed or abandoned after the wars. But this place, it was built by survivors. A secret sanctuary. A second chance. He smiled faintly. And it waited all this time for someone to come back. They docked slowly at the arc station, Gaia cube in hand. Inside, the halls were dark, covered in frost and silence. Lights flickered as their boots echoed on cold metal floors. Then Gaia spoke. Home recognized, activating central memory vault. A door opened. Inside was a massive chamber filled with genetic seeds, data cores, history books, and even frozen embryos, preserved for hundreds of years. The vault walls lit up with the image of a blue planet, the original Earth, and slowly transformed into a glowing globe of Earth Primus, showing fields, rivers, and thousands of clean zones ready for settlement. Humanity's second beginning, Gaia whispered. This world is for all who seek the truth. Liraxi stood still. This could change everything. Jalen placed his hand on the console. We can share this with everyone. She looked at him, unsure. What if the Empire destroys it? He turned toward her. Then we fight again. But now, we have more than memory. We have a future. Back on Xerelian Prime, the Empire was collapsing into confusion. Liraxi's broadcast had triggered more than outrage. It had ignited rebellion. Young cadets refused orders. Fleet officers defected. Even high command figures began whispering doubts. In the shadows of every planet, the people were rising. But so were the threats. The Empire's most loyal and dangerous weapon, the Purity Command, a secret fleet of assassins and enforcers, was activated. Their mission: find Liraxi. Destroy Gaia, erase Earth again. Back on Earth Primus, Jalen and Liraxi were joined by the first wave of rebels, Xerelians, ex-soldiers, pirates, scientists, and even a few alien species who once feared humans but now saw the truth. They didn't come to conquer Earth Primus. They came to protect it, to learn from it, to rebuild. A council formed, plans were drawn, peace zones established, but it wasn't enough. Not yet. The final stand was coming. 1 week later, the sky above Earth Primus cracked open. The Purity Command fleet arrived. Black ships with red lights, silent, perfect, and deadly. Laraxi stood at the command post of the Ark station, dressed not as a soldier, but as a speaker of truth. She wore no armor, no crown, only a small badge, a glowing symbol of Earth. Jalen stood beside her. "You ready?" he asked. "No," she smiled. "But I'm going anyway." The enemy sent a message. "Surrender Gaia, destroy the data, return to silence." Laraxi answered, "No. You had centuries to speak, now it's our turn." The battle began, but it wasn't just lasers and fire, it was broadcasts. Every ship on Earth Primus sent out Earth's music, memories, voices, on loop. Every second the Purity fleet attacked, more of the galaxy heard Earth's truth again, and then something happened. One by one, enemy ships stopped firing. Some pilots paused, others opened private messages. "I saw the flower girl. I saw the oceans. Why didn't they tell us this before?" Mutiny spread. The Purity fleet cracked. Some turned away, some joined, and the rest were pushed back by the united defenders of Earth Primus. Hours later, the sky was quiet again. Laraxi stood on the green ground of Earth Primus for the first time. Sunlight touched her face. Wind brushed her hair. It smelled of hope. Beside her, Jalen placed the Gaia cube into a crystal chamber at the center of the new world's core. It pulsed one last time, and then it whispered, "Welcome home." In the weeks that followed, news spread like fire. The Empire was no longer feared. The people had a new name on their lips. Not a queen, not a general, but a myth reborn. Laraxi, the girl who chased a ghost, who found a human, who spoke the forbidden truth, and made the stars remember.